He woke up trapped inside the body of a failed noble. Liam's heart pounded with panic, realizing he was stuck in the skin of a clueless kid. His father snapped, scolding him for making a ruckus out of nothing. But today, Liam's mood was different. He simply told himself to sit down and try not to disgrace the family name. Still, Liam couldn't believe how tangled his fate was. He told himself the dizzy spell would pass, yet the next morning, he woke again, as Liam Hamilton, accepting this as his new reality. Soon, Liam's personal maid stepped in to help him change. Curiosity sparked as Liam asked questions, discovering he was the fifth son of the Count, and last night's banquet was to welcome a newborn sister. Then Liam reached out to his older brother Bruno, hoping to uncover more about this strange life. He learned Bruno was the fourth son of the Hamilton family, a noble house now teetering on the edge of collapse. Tradition demanded every noble family achieve something great within 3 generations, or lose their title and fall to commoner status. The Hamiltons were now in their 3rd generation, with no achievements to boast of. Their father and eldest brother Andreev were frantic, desperately rallying support to cling to their noble status. Meanwhile, Bruno seemed oddly indifferent, unbothered by the looming threat of losing their rank. If he had to become a commoner, Bruno was cool with it, just a laid-back guy rolling with the punches. Liam was taken aback by Bruno's casual attitude, but deep down he found it surprisingly normal. After all, Liam had only just arrived yesterday and was still figuring out what to do with his new life. Just then, their teacher entered, announcing the start of magic lessons. The word magic lit a fire in Liam's eyes. He jumped up, eager to know if he could really learn to wield such power. Bruno raised an eyebrow at Liam's enthusiasm and told him the family's library held many magic tomes if he wanted to explore. But Bruno warned not to get hopes too high. Most people lacked any magical talent. Still, their magic teacher encouraged Liam to study, saying that understanding magic was crucial, even if one couldn't use it directly. Liam then asked the maid to lead him to the magic library, where he stood awestruck before mountains of knowledge. He scoured the shelves and found a book on basic fire magic. Opening it, Liam resolved to try the spell. Following each step, he conjured a tiny flame dancing on his fingertip, a small miracle for a first attempt. Energized, he sought permission from his father to use the magic library. His father, indifferent and uninterested, shrugged it off, saying Liam could do whatever he wanted. Though the atmosphere was cold, the crucial point was that Liam now had access to the magical knowledge trove. Over the next few days, Liam mastered all the basic elemental spells. Finally, he learned to cast spells without consulting the books. Bruno was amazed, having no magical gift himself. He praised Liam and predicted his rising fame. Yet Bruno was curious why Liam was so driven. Was it ambition to become the heir that would put him at odds with their eldest brother? But Liam didn't care about politics or succession drama. His heart simply soared at the wonder of magic. After mastering the basics, he looked forward to the endless possibilities ahead. This wasn't just learning spells, it was reclaiming hope for a family on the brink and a boy's journey to ignite his own destiny. If you've ever felt trapped by fate's cruel hand, maybe Liam's story reminds us sometimes the smallest spark can light the darkest path. And if you found yourself caught between duty and dreams, ask yourself, would you fight for power, or simply for the magic that sets your soul free? Thanks for sharing this journey with me. Novice mage Liam decided to dive deeper into ice magic. As he left the library, a call summoned him news of his magical talent had spread. Though once indifferent, his father now showed keen interest, demanding Liam showcase his skills. Liam demonstrated spellcasting without a book, igniting his father's excitement. He saw a golden chance to leverage Liam's power, to uphold their family's status. From then on, Liam was granted access to any resource needed to master magic. Just then, a report came in about a man spotted near the Hamilton estate. The Count ordered troops to capture him. Sounds like a typical drama with tension and danger, but none of it concerned Liam. He returned to the forest, intent on training his magic further. As he wandered, he stumbled upon a man sitting beneath a tree. The man, spotting Liam, grew wary and asked if he was a member of the Hilton family sent to arrest him. Liam confirmed his Hamilton lineage, but made it clear he had no interest in capturing anyone. In fact, he didn't even know who this man was. Relieved, the man noticed the magic tome in Liam's hands and inquired if he was learning magic. Liam nodded, explaining that practice was the best path to progress, and he was on his way to train. Before leaving, the man asked if Liam wanted to learn how to wield magic more effectively. Liam's curiosity piqued immediately. "What do you mean?" he asked. Without hesitation, the man showcased his skill, casting 5 different spells simultaneously. Liam was awestruck and eagerly accepted the offer to learn magic at a faster pace. The man was surprised by Liam's respectful attitude, expecting nobles to be haughty. But Liam was different, fresh to this world, and oblivious to typical noble airs. In their first lesson, the man asked Liam to draw 2 magical diagrams on the ground simultaneously. Liam followed through, impressively prompting the man to raise the stakes. Now, Liam had to cast 2 different spells at once. Visualizing the magic, Liam summoned a cutting flame with his right hand and a fireball with his left, succeeding on the first try, leaving the man speechless. Encouraged, Liam was challenged to cast 3 spells simultaneously. He tried hard and initially succeeded, but then the magic abruptly faltered. Disappointed, he felt like he scored a 9.75 when aiming for a perfect 10. The man reassured him the technique was sound. The spell broke because Liam's body couldn't sustain the energy demand. He explained that casting multiple spells drains immense magical energy. Liam just had to learn better control, and one day he'd maintain many spells at once. The man then dove into the essence of multi-spell casting, asking Liam to sit as he illustrated on the ground. This rare technique relies on prime numbers, though even he didn't understand why. Liam could cast up to 3 spells simultaneously, but 4 was impossible no matter how hard he tried. Currently, the man could wield 13 spells at once, a staggering feat, but the prime number rule blocked him from exceeding that until his magic evolved to handle 17. Liam was at level 12, but the man believed with dedication Liam could greatly enhance his power. To aid Liam, the man gifted him a special ring, a magical grimoire housing countless spells for study anytime. Excited, Liam slipped it on instantly, flooded with over 300 spells rushing into his mind. Eager to test his new power, he turned toward the forest and summoned a mighty gust of wind. Joy filled Liam's heart, but when he turned to thank the man, he had vanished. At that moment, Liam's maid appeared, warning him of a suspicious man hiding nearby. She urged caution when dealing with strangers in the forest. She also handed Liam a magic book his father wanted him to read. After she left for the mansion, the mysterious man reappeared behind Liam. Liam asked where he had gone, and the man explained he had only used invisibility magic to avoid being seen. Spotting the new magic book, the man offered to teach Liam some handy tips. He instructed Liam to open the book and try summoning a divine beast while wearing the ring. Liam summoned a fire spirit, but the ring immediately absorbed it. He went on to summon other elemental beasts, all swallowed by the ring. The man explained Liam could call on these spirits in times of need. When Liam finished training and looked back, the man was gone this time for good. Before leaving, he left a few words on the ground. "Keep honing your magic, and you shall become a grand mage. Oh, and if anyone asks, tell them I was never here." Liam knew little about this mysterious mentor, but vowed to honor him as his teacher. A month passed since their meeting. Liam kept training diligently, his magic growing far more skilled. Just then, Bruno arrived, astonished to see Liam had crafted white charcoal all by himself, charcoal that burned hotter and cleaner than ordinary, nearly impossible to produce without a special furnace and precision. With a flicker of arcane energy, he cloaked himself in stealth, ensuring no one could uncover his presence. The man marveled at the spellbook that Liam had just received, its pages pulsating with untapped potential. Eager, he offered to guide Liam through a few clever tricks. "Open the spellbook and summon a beast while wearing the ring," he instructed. Without hesitation, Liam complied, channeling his magic. He successfully summoned a fire spirit, but in an instant the ring absorbed it. Undeterred, Liam continued to call forth elemental beasts, each one drawn into the ring's embrace. The man explained that these spirits would lend their strength when Liam needed it most. But as his training concluded, Liam realized that the man had vanished this time, never to return. Before leaving, he had inscribed a few words on the ground. "Keep honing your magic, and in time you will become a grand sorcerer. Oh, and by the way, don't tell anyone about me. If asked, just say I was never here." Liam knew little about the mysterious figure. Yet he couldn't deny the monumental knowledge he had gained that afternoon, more than he could have learned in months. He resolved to honour him as a mentor. A month passed since their encounter, and Liam diligently practiced mastering his magical abilities with remarkable proficiency. It was during this time that Bruno visited him, astonished to find Liam had created white ash, a fuel burning hotter than ordinary coal, devoid of smoke, and incredibly useful. However, crafting it was nearly impossible without a specialised furnace and precise technique. Bruno was astounded to see Liam conjure it in abundance using just his magic. He also noticed that Liam possessed a pouch filled with La Rose D crystals, magical gems that replenish expended mana. Curious, he asked if Liam had made them. Liam confirmed, sharing that while it initially posed a challenge requiring the simultaneous use of 5 different types of magic, he ultimately succeeded. After meeting his mentor, Liam kept training relentlessly, mastering magic with a skill that bloomed like a fierce flame. Just then, Bruno arrived, eyes wide in amazement as he saw Liam had crafted pure white charcoal burning hotter than ordinary coal, and without a trace of smoke, a rare treasure impossible to forge without a special furnace and pinpoint precision. Bruno's astonishment deepened when Liam revealed he'd created such a vast amount purely through magic. His gaze then fell on a pouch brimming with La Rose D crystals, the rare stones that restore spent mana. Bruno's curiosity sparked as he asked if Liam was the mastermind behind this. Liam nodded, admitting the challenge of weaving 5 types of magic simultaneously, but ultimately triumph was his. Bruno's heart swelled with pride seeing his younger brother's brilliance. It was a beacon of hope that Liam would stand strong on his own. Then, with a hint of nostalgia, he shared news that shook Liam. He was about to marry and leave this place. The revelation hit Liam like a sudden storm. This was the first time he'd heard of it. Bruno explained his bride came from a lesser noble family, poorer than the Hamiltons, but this union promised him freedom he craved. Content with this arranged marriage, Bruno's words left Liam tangled in emotions, uncertain yet supportive. Before parting, Bruno offered a piece of wisdom. Their father had once wished for a daughter to wed into royalty, strengthening the Hamilton legacy. That secret echoed like a ghost between them, a reminder of family expectations and hidden desires. Liam's mind swelled with questions, but he simply wished Bruno well before the elder brother walked away, leaving Liam to face his own path with newfound resolve. But Liam was born a son, and their father saw him as worthless. So he decided to try for a daughter again. Yet, as time passed, his anxiety over the family's status grew. Desperate, he sent 1,000 soldiers into the forest to exterminate a sealed monster lurking there. That reckless plan ended in disaster, wiping out 90% of the force. Their father still chased achievements to uplift the Hamilton name, but Bruno believed the clan was beyond saving. He urged Liam to focus on surviving and carving his own path. Taking Bruno's words to heart, Liam began selling his own creations to earn money. Business flourished after all coal was a precious commodity commanding a good price. Yet Liam soon realised that to truly live independently, he'd need something far more profitable. While resting in town, Liam stopped by a noodle shop and ordered a bowl of ramen. The moment he tasted it, he was enchanted. The rich flavour captivated him, just like it did every local. But these noodles were handmade and couldn't be stored for long, sparking a brilliant idea to boost his earnings. After some experimentation, Liam presented his latest invention to the maid and head chef as they prepared dinner. He asked them to try his noodles, just pour hot water over them. Amazingly, the dry noodles transformed into a steaming, delicious bowl in seconds. Using magic and divine beasts, Liam had crafted noodles that could be preserved long-term and cooked instantly. Confident his invention would win hearts, he hurried to the merchant guild to sell his product. But sadly, the merchants rejected him because he was only the 5th son of the Hamilton family. According to law, he needed written permission from his father or eldest brother, and brevis to sell any invention in this region. Liam knew that asking permission might cost him all his profits, so he temporarily gave up and returned home. Upon arrival, he discovered that Brevis was the one who had ordered the merchants to refuse. Unable to accept his younger brother's success, Brevis was willing to do anything to stop him. Though Liam was unaware of his brother's dark nature, he was determined to circulate his product at any cost, and this time he'd try something new. For the first time, Liam packed a bunch of his goods into a magical item box he'd created, using the mysterious man's ring. Then, he began a summoning spell, but instead of calling forth a divine beast, he planned to summon himself. At first, it sounded like teleportation, but this was something deeper, an act of self-summoning that would change everything. But here's the twist. He didn't just act, he summoned an impeccable clone of himself and sent it to nearby areas. If the Hamilton family's territory forbade trade, Liam simply sold his goods elsewhere. Days later, his clone reported back on the latest deals he had pulled off. At this lightning pace, Liam was on the fast track to true independence whenever he wasn't busy trading. Using his clone, he trained relentlessly in magic, finally mastering control over magic bullets, a milestone that filled him with pride. Suddenly, footsteps approached. Quickly, he dispelled the clone and stepped outside to see who it was. It turned out to be Andreev Babbitt, no hesitation in asking Liam about his future dreams. Liam knew Andreev's question was just to gauge if he aimed to inherit the family's mantle or not. But as Liam had made clear before, politics were not his game. He answered honestly, he just wanted to stand on his own feet. Andreev breathed a sigh of relief, glad Liam wasn't chasing the family's throne but carving his own path. To speed up Liam's journey, Andreev promised to recommend him for entry into the Hunters Guild. That very day, Liam stepped into the guild hall, eyes locking onto him. No one expected a kid like Liam to belong here. He approached the receptionist to meet the guildmaster, who had heard of him through Andreev. Still, the guildmaster needed to test Liam's skills before acceptance. He asked Liam to cast any magic attack with a chant, but Liam had never heard of such a thing. Assuming Liam was just slightly above average since Andreev vouched for him, the guildmaster braced himself. Yet when Liam unleashed his power, the guildmaster nearly spilled his tea. Luckily, Liam didn't strike directly. Composed again, the guildmaster granted Liam a B rank. With his official rank, Liam prepared for his first mission. Before leaving, he met a girl named Asuna Aquas, who was impressed by his skills and asked if he wanted to team up. Though initially hesitant, Liam welcomed the company. Asuna's joy was palpable. She grabbed his hand, pulling him along immediately. Liam was puzzled they hadn't received any mission orders yet. Asuna explained, only A-rank groups get assigned missions. Lower ranks hunt monsters independently for rewards. Coincidentally, they encountered an oversized puppy, though it wasn't alone. Asuna worried they were outnumbered, but Liam declared he'd face even their fathers. He told Asuna to finish off the wolves while he distracted them using earth spirits as bait, luring 7 wolves. When the wolves lunged, Liam commanded the spirits to clamp their jaws shut. Frozen Asuna moved freely to dispatch them one by one. Together, they defeated a staggering 42 wolves. Presenting the wolf corpses to the guildmaster, he was amazed by their teamwork and assigned them a special mission. He explained a VIP would arrive soon, threatened by armoured lava blocking the roads. If harmed, the town's fate would be sealed. Liam accepted the gravity of the task, and they hurried to confront the armoured lava. Despite their efforts, every attack bounced off its impenetrable shell. Asuna's sword strikes and Liam's magic were powerless. Defeat seemed inevitable. During a break, Asuna joked only a meteorite could pierce the lava's armour. Of course, impossible. Yet her offhand comment sparked a brilliant idea in Liam's mind. He asked Asuna to distract the lava while he prepared his plan. Unaware of Liam's strategy, Asuna diverted the lava's attention. When it moved into position, Liam opened his item box and dropped a massive boulder onto it. One crushing blow that ended the beast's reign. The method was so effective, they took down a second lava the same way. Wary of more armoured lava nearby, Liam used detection spells after the first kill. Sure enough, he found a second and eliminated it. The guildmaster was so impressed by Asuna and Liam's performance, he quintupled their reward. Days later, the VIP arrived. Liam, Asuna, and many townsfolk gathered to welcome Liam's father. Andreev was also present. But the VIP's attention seemed to linger on Liam. After a moment, the man called Liam over. Liam was puzzled, until the man introduced himself as James Stanley and cut straight to the chase. He asked how Liam obtained the Jumo ring and accused him of theft. Liam rose quickly, firmly denying ever betraying his master, then recounted his meeting with Jumo in the forest. Stanley found the story fascinating, his suspicions fading. Apologizing for the false accusation, he admitted ignorance of John Jam, having accepted Liam as a disciple. But since Liam was here, Stanley wanted to witness Duemon's student's true strength. He stepped aside to a corner, and asked Liam to unleash his strongest magic attack. Liam agreed, positioning himself and chanting the magic bullet spell to amplify his power. He chose a recently learned incantation designed to boost magic, requiring words meaningful to the caster. Liam began naming his favourite idols in the incantation, a seemingly silly but incredibly effective spell. Instead of 7 magic bullets, he fired 11. Unable to withstand the onslaught, Stanley's defensive shield shattered. He was struck hard. Impressed by Liam's empowered magic, Stanley proposed rewarding him and officially knighted him. Becoming a knight meant Liam could truly be independent, and Andreev would likely stop shadowing him since he was no longer in the line of succession. Knowing Duemon well, Stanley asked if Liam had been pranked recently. Liam recalled accidentally draining the water from a pond during item box practice, and finding a letter from Duemon addressed to him inside. The letter's contents were yet to be revealed, but this unexpected discovery hinted at deeper bonds and future challenges. Liam's journey was just beginning, with each step testing his resolve and spirit. If you've ever felt the weight of expectations versus your own dreams, take a breath with Liam. Sometimes the path to independence isn't just about power, but about knowing who you truly are beneath it all. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey. Duem boldly declared he wanted to gift Liam a graduation present worth £100 of gold, but fate had other plans as the gold sank deep beneath the lake. Undeterred, he crushed the gold into dust, blending it into the river's flow. Truly, sometimes giving is less about the gift and more about the gesture, as Liam suddenly found the entire treasure dispersed in the river's embrace. At first, it felt like a crazy idea, but G suspected Duan's playful nature masked a deeper meaning. He urged Liam to inspect carefully. There might be something precious hidden beneath. Taking the hint, Liam returned to the lake, draining its waters using his item box, driven by a spark of hope and curiosity. This time, Liam's brilliance shone through. He used his item box to separate the powdered gold from the water. As he did, a mysterious door sprang open, revealing another letter from Duan. In it, Duan revealed Liam's true graduation gift, a supreme magic tome, a prize for solving a puzzle even Duan himself couldn't crack. This wasn't just any book, it was the pinnacle of magical mastery crafted specially for Liam. As he flipped through its pages, his eyes caught a spell with the thrilling name Enazwar. After hours of relentless tinkering, Liam finally succeeded in mastering it, summoning a private dimension entirely under his command. With this power, Liam could open gates anywhere, and no one could cross without his permission, a skill straight out of Legends. His heart soared with excitement over this unbeatable ability, and the very next chance he had, he went hunting alongside Asuna for some real action. Their target, a colossal frog that seemed more beast than amphibian. Liam first tried roasting it with fire spirits, but his flames barely touched its thick skin. The giant frog retaliated fiercely, launching its strongest attack. Just in time, Liam dragged Asuna into his private dimension, barely dodging a hit that could have sent them flying like ragdolls. When the frog finally wore down, they called it quits and cooked up a frog hot pot, because why not celebrate victory with some well-earned food? Later, back at the guild, they presented the frog's magic stone, leaving the guildmaster speechless. This was an S-rank mission. He expected a tough battle, but Liam and Asuna made it look effortless. Still, Asuna felt a twinge of jealousy. Why did the guildmaster keep calling out only to Liam? Ignoring her efforts, the guildmaster apologized, explaining that Liam had been carrying the team's weight. He'd forgotten Asuna was there too. Seeing her frustration, he proposed something bold. Liam should make Asuna his divine beast. Both were skeptical. Being a divine beast meant obeying every command, stripping away freedom. Yet the guildmaster insisted that becoming Liam's divine beast would awaken Asuna's true power, making her a perfect match for Liam's strength. At the mention of this, Asuna's doubts faded and she agreed to the contract. Though she'd be bound to obey Liam's commands, Asuna trusted him enough not to abuse that power. Even if he did, she figured she'd just shrug it off. With the pact sealed, Asuna vanished in an instant, sparking surprise all around, until she reappeared behind Liam, grinning as she explained she'd just moved at superhuman speed. Right after the contract formed, Asuna heard a voice in her mind proclaiming she had unlocked a special speed skill. Liam's curiosity piqued. He wanted to test it again. Yet the divine beast contract meant total obedience, making it tough to find someone willing to give up their freedom so completely. This pact was more than magic, it was a leap of trust, a bond that tied their fates together. It asks us, the viewers, if you were in their shoes, would you surrender your autonomy for power, or would you fight to keep your spirit free? Sometimes in anime, the greatest battles aren't just fought with swords, but with the heart. Rights exchanged for skills back before 1865, some guys didn't even get lucky enough to receive any. Thankfully, Asuna sensed a perfect candidate. They went to meet Asuna's friend Jodie and laid everything out. Jodie, being free and a bit bored, agreed to become Liam's divine beast. Once the contract was sealed, everyone asked if she'd awaken a special skill. But instead of answering, Jodie quietly left the hall and came back with 2 loaves of bread. She handed one to the man with a broken arm. As he ate, his arm miraculously healed. Jodie then explained her special skill. She could heal others through the food she made. A few days later, Liam met Jay again and was informed Princess Scarlet would soon visit. Liam couldn't grasp why the princess would come for a nobody like him. But DM reminded Liam he'd completed an A-rank mission and could summon 11 spells at once. Plus, he could grant others special skills by becoming their master. The princess was eager to witness Liam's divine beasts firsthand. Yet Liam firmly refused. DM couldn't believe he dared deny the queen's request. Even though Jodie and Asuna were Liam's divine beasts, they were still his friends, and he wouldn't let them be mere amusement for anyone. DM saw Liam's unwavering resolve and told him he was free to go. After Liam left, the maid who had served throughout the conversation revealed herself as Princess Scarlet. She apologized for failing to sway Liam, but found his courage to stand against royalty for his friends intriguing. She wanted to watch if he'd keep that courage face to face. The next day, Liam was summoned to meet Princess Scarlet, no longer disguised. He had to be more careful. Liam entered her palace, knelt respectfully, but Scarlet cut to the chase. She had heard rumours he defeated the armoured beetle and giant frog, and was impressed he could cook frog hot pot without advanced magic first. What interested Scarlet most, though, were Liam's divine beasts. She demanded he show their abilities. Liam sensed her power play to bend him to her will, but he refused to comply. Scarlet asked if he truly wanted to reject a noble's direct request regardless of consequences, but Liam stood firm. He would never turn his friends into entertainment. If only more people were as loyal as Liam's circle. Prepared to face Scarlet's wrath for his blunt refusal, Liam was surprised when she burst into laughter. He was the first she'd met who could keep dignity even against such power. Intrigued, she decided to reward him. Scarlet declared Liam a baron from now on. Liam panicked, thinking he hadn't earned such a title, but Scarlet liked him and told him to relax and enjoy his noble status. This way Liam's family would secure their aristocratic position. Still, Scarlet wanted to gift him more. She handed Liam a magical book on divine beast contracts. This thrilled Liam far beyond the baron title. Grateful, he happily left to focus on training with his new tome. Cut to Liam in the forest, engrossed in the book. Casting spells was easy at first, but even after mastering it, his contracts weren't permanent yet. While training, Liam was shocked to see Bruno, his older brother, who had been married and away for some time. Liam asked why Bruno was back, but his brother gave no clear reason, only saying he wanted to visit and personally congratulate Liam on becoming a baron. Bruno remarked Liam had now surpassed their father in noble rank, but Liam was puzzled since their dad was a count and he only a baron. Bruno explained that in this kingdom, nobles divided into 2, those who earned their titles and those who inherited them. The self-made nobles were respected more. Liam had never known this, but now, even if he kicked their dad out of the chicken coop, he didn't care. His focus was magic alone. Walking down a hallway, Liam ran into Andreev and greeted his older brother, but Andreev ignored him. Liam was confused why Andreev was so angry, while he himself was clueless. Meanwhile, Andreev was furious that his foolish younger brother kept outshining him. On a stroll, Andreev overheard some maids gossiping about Liam's achievements, and easily bruised pride shouted at them to quit and serve Liam if they thought he was so great. The maids quickly apologized, sensing Andreev's jealousy, but he pushed further, asking if they believed Liam was better than him. The answer was obvious. Liam was a magical prodigy who earned his baron title at 12, while Andreev was a spoiled brat with no real achievements. Still, the maids dared only think this, silently outwardly claiming Andreev was superior. Fuming, Andreev stormed off, vowing to prove he was truly better. determined to surpass his brother Liam, set out to earn a remarkable achievement. The next day, he met Asuna and Jodie in town. The three had become youth idols, mainly due to Asuna, and Jodie's stunning look. Jealous boys in the crowd glared at Liam, who just sparkled like a firefly unfazed. Liam suggested forming a formal team, but he didn't want to force anyone. He asked Asuna and Jodie for their thoughts, and both agreed without hesitation. Together, they ventured into the forest for a mission. Jodie notched an arrow and struck a wolf's neck just as it weakened. Asuna swiftly finished it off with her sword. Liam praised Asuna for her agility. She'd improved a lot since becoming his divine beast. Talking about progress, Jodie noticed she no longer suffered night blindness thanks to the contract turning her into a child again. Liam wondered if better eyesight was always a blessing. Jodie said she'd never refuse the chance to gain sharp eyes. If you've ever felt powerless, like Liam, take a breath and ask yourself what strength would you draw on to protect those you cherish. Sometimes all we need is a friend who believes in us just once. And maybe, just maybe, that's the magic that changes everything. The moment felt even more extraordinary because Jodie was an archer. Liam raised his hand and cast an enhancement spell on Jodie's eyes, granting her the power to see farther than ever before. Curious, Asuna asked Liam what he had done, and he explained he'd only used a basic enhancement to sharpen her vision. Asuna found this fascinating and asked Liam to cast the enhancement spell on her. But Liam hesitated. He knew he could boost Asuna's combat power, yet it came with a heavy risk. The sudden surge might shatter her bones, unable to withstand the new strength. Enhancing vision, like Jodie's, had no such downside. Now, with her sharpened eyes, Jodie could target any enemy within range with deadly precision, all thanks to Liam, to whom she was deeply grateful. After a long day of hunting, Liam and his friends returned to the guild, only to be met with a shocking sight. The guild had been turned into a battlefield. When they asked what had happened, they learned that Anbravis had broken the forest's seal to alert the guild. Liam immediately realized his brother might have tried to defeat the sealed monster deep in the woods, driven by a twisted jealousy. Feeling a pang of guilt, Liam rushed to check the situation. He and his team arrived quickly, only to find things far worse than they'd imagined. Scores of soldiers lay gravely wounded, and many had already lost their lives. Horror gripped Liam's heart as he spotted Andreev writhing on the ground, severely injured. He hurried over, but Andreev, furious, snapped back, insisting he had not been defeated. Just then, the guild leader appeared, striking Andreev hard on the head with a staff. "Enough of this madness," he scolded. "We don't need one more reckless fool making things worse." As Anbravis was taken away, the guild leader approached Liam, expressing relief that he had arrived. Asuna asked what was going on. The guild leader explained that the evil dragon Dion had once been sealed in this forest thanks to Liam's grandfather's heroic deeds, but Anbravis, a reckless youth, had broken the seal and killed the guardian. Now, Dion was free and they had to reseal him. The guild leader had already gathered the necessary people to carry out this critical mission. Yet a formidable obstacle stood in their way: the dragon's offspring, the little dragons. These fierce young beasts had caused all the recent destruction. If these small dragons were so deadly, imagine the devastation the full-grown Dion was capable of. Fortunately, because Dion had been sealed too long, it would take about a week to regain full strength and launch a true assault. If they could reseal Dion before that, they might avert disaster. Liam, determined to help, rushed to Dion's location, discovering it guarded by 3 little dragons. Since these young dragons weren't too large yet, Asuna decided to take a gamble and charged in, aiming for a quick kill. Suddenly, one of the little dragons hurled a fireball at her. Though she dodged just in time, the tree behind her was engulfed in flames. Liam tried to use magical bullets to strike back, but the little dragons counterattacked fiercely, with fireballs pushing him into a tight corner. His strongest offensive spells had lost their effect. Yet Liam still held a trump card up his sleeve. He shouted an order to Asuna, signaling for her to prepare for what could be their last desperate move. The battle had reached a critical point every second. Every breath was a test of will and survival. The fate of the guild, the forest, and countless lives hung in the balance as Liam and Asuna faced the fiery wrath of the little dragons head-on. As Jodie retreats, the little dragons charge fiercely at Liam. Before they can even get close, he opens a portal, sweeping them all inside and sealing them away. The guildmaster can hardly believe it. Liam single-handedly took on all 3 little dragons. even Liam himself is stunned by his own power. With the little dragons no longer a threat, the guild master orders everyone to begin resealing the barrier. While the operation is underway, Asuna and Jodie return to Liam's side and relief washes over him seeing them unharmed. They ask about the magic he used to defeat the little dragons. Liam explains it's a spell that creates a separate spatial dimension. He trapped the little dragons inside it. At his current power level, once he closes the portal, everything inside that space vanishes completely. Suddenly, a voice echoes inside Liam's mind, and in an instant, he's pulled into the consciousness of Dujon. The voice calls him a mortal with a great soul and asks who he is. Liam is baffled. He only knows himself as an ordinary human. But Dujon isn't convinced. He sees that Liam's body and soul don't align naturally. Liam realizes Dujon might be referring to his reincarnation into Liam Hamilton's body and wonders if Dujon knows the reason behind it. Sadly, Dujon does not. Yet Dujon predicts Liam's life will be a stormy sea. He proposes a pact to accompany Liam throughout his life. He promises no harm will come to Liam or those around him, and even offers to help Liam refine his existing skills. Feeling no hostility in Dujon's words, Liam agrees. Dujon's form dissolves, merging into Liam's soul, leaving only a dragon mark on his hand. Liam senses Dujon's power flowing through him and decides to test it. He fires magical bullets into the sky, and to his amazement controls 17 shots at once, clearly empowered by Dujon's enhancement. However, wielding Dujon's power comes with a price. Those around Liam start suffering headaches from the dense, magical energy radiating off him, thicker than the morning dust in the capital. Realizing the strain he's causing, Liam quickly restrains his power and apologizes for his reckless actions. To show his sincerity, he gifts Digna, the guildmaster, 10 kilograms of gold dust, requesting it be used to fund treatment for the severely wounded from the battle. That night, Liam meets his father, who deeply appreciates his son's efforts in preventing his elder brother's kidnapping. Word has it James is still in town, so Liam's heroic deeds will surely reach the royal court soon. That night, Liam sleeps as usual, but wakes the next morning to discover 2 new streams of magic blossoming within him. He rushes outside to test his newfound powers. After hours of practice, Liam finally summons little Dujon. If he trains diligently, Dujon could be a formidable ally in battle, but for now just an adorable pet. While playing with Dujon, Princess Scarlet appears behind him, recognizing the magic Liam just used. It's holy magic. Knowing Liam's background, she's surprised he can wield such power at his young age, sparking her suspicion. But Scarlet's visit isn't just about suspicion. She's here to reward Liam for slaying the evil dragon. She wants to elevate him to a higher noble rank, but other nobles fiercely oppose promoting a landless child. Instead, she grants him the 3rd-class Phoenix Medal. While here, Scarlet also wants details on how Liam defeated the evil dragon with such ease. Depending on the tale's impact, she might declare him a national hero. Yet Scarlet's shaken learning Liam literally drained the evil dragon's power. She thought she understood Liam, but seeing him wield holy magic complicates things. Regardless, Scarlet insists Liam keep this secret at all costs. The next day, Liam receives a bribe of 3,000 gold coins to keep quiet. He doesn't understand why the princess is so desperate to silence him, but hey, free money is free money. Word spreads quickly that Liam took the princess's hush money. Then James summons Liam to question him about the incident. At first, Liam denies everything, but James suspects a monumental secret behind such a hefty bribe. Under pressure, Liam admits he can use holy magic. He demonstrates a bit, explaining it can erase harmful effects like petrification and poison. James acknowledges Liam's incredible talent. No wonder holy magic is said to be the touch of the divine. James asks if Liam knows about the 3 Dragons' War. When Liam says no, James feels it's time for a story. Long ago, 3 mighty dragons fought to find the strongest. Legend says the champion's victory was thanks to holy magic. Afterwards, the dragons supposedly joined forces with humans, using holy magic to build this kingdom. When James mentions joining, Liam's mind jumps to the euphemism for dragon-human marriage and offspring. But in reality, James points out Liam is the perfect example of that union. Reflecting back, Liam realizes Dujon's merge symbolizes this ancient harmony. He's reenacting the legend of the kingdom's founding. Despite the grandeur, more urgent matters remain. The Hamilton family's noble status comes from sealing away the evil dragon, but it turns out Dujon isn't an evil beast, but the original dragon who founded the kingdom. This means the Hamiltons made a grave mistake blaming the very founder of the realm. If this truth leaks, their noble status will be stripped. Liam doesn't want that to happen, knowing how hard his father and Brevis fought to maintain their rank. But James worries more about Dujon's feelings. He might be simmering with resentment from being sealed away, plotting revenge against Liam. The tension thickens as Liam faces a destiny intertwined with dragons and secrets yet to unfold. The thoughts about Jae-don swelled in Liam's mind, while John firmly stated he harboured no desire for humanity's revenge, only a keen interest in watching Liam's growth. Liam saw this as incredible news, no exaggeration, when he called himself the Kingdom's saviour for drawing Jae-don's attention. Some time later, Liam arrived at the Adventurers Guild, but before he could step inside, a group of girls whisked him away. Confused, Liam finally asked why after they had walked some distance. They explained the guild was packed. Everyone was desperate to join Liam's party after hearing he'd slain the garlic chili evil dragon. They begged Asuna and Jodie to persuade Liam to accept them. Both women had compiled a list of promising candidates, though honestly none truly stood out. Still, as a team captain, the final call was Liam's. He then decided to head home to review the list, but upon entering, a maid announced she had something to show him: an avalanche of marriage proposals from noble families. Each letter begged to become Liam's bride. He had anticipated this. His fame had grown bigger than a wagon wheel, yet the sheer volume of proposals far exceeded his expectations. Even his older brother delivered a letter, though thankfully it wasn't from him, but a relative of his brother's spouse. Bruno asked Liam what he'd done to attract so many proposals, noting that even defeating a dragon wouldn't normally cause this. Liam only spoke of the holy magic given to the princess and Jodie, but since the princess had paid him handsomely for secrecy, nobles guessed he must be hiding some grand secret. Though a bit bothersome, Liam couldn't deny he was enjoying the attention he might be receiving marriage offers for days to come. At the end of that day, Liam took Jodie and Asuna into the forest, eager to show them something special. He opened his space pouch, revealing a large house suspended in that vast pocket of nothingness. He explained he'd hired carpenters to build it, then used his item box to transport it here. Though impressive, Asuna worried the house might vanish like Jae-don's tiny pocket worlds before. Liam reassured her he had fully mastered this kind of magic. Nothing inside would disappear. That's why he placed everything here. Liam guided Asuna and Jodie through the house, both visibly delighted. But Jodie noted that it was always brightly lit inside, making it hard to sleep. She came up with an idea to summon the shadow beast to dim the area. Though the idea sounded reasonable in reality, it was a recipe for disaster. Nowhere was darker than pitch black. Liam tried to brighten things up by summoning a fire beast, but the space quickly turned into a horror movie set, making him want to jump out of his pants. Finally, Liam asked the shadow beast to adjust its darkness level. Unfortunately, the low-level shadow beast couldn't control how dark it made the space. While a mid-level shadow beast could, Liam hadn't yet learned to summon one. Asuna wondered aloud why a low-level beast couldn't upgrade itself. The mystery lingered as the eerie darkness engulfed the house, a perfect backdrop for a chilling tale. Liam's battle between light and shadow mirrored his own journey seeking balance in a world where even a sanctuary could feel haunted. Asuna's question hung in the air. Why can't a low-level shadow beast evolve on its own? It was a subtle reminder that growth, whether in magic or the heart, sometimes requires more than just time. It demands guidance, patience, and the courage to face the darkness within. Noticing the power of his divine beast contract, Liam suddenly recalls that this pact can actually upgrade his beast. Without hesitation, he seals a contract with the Shadow Divine Beast, and just as he expected, it instantly ascends to the intermediate tier. The Shadow Divine Beast thanks Liam for this bond, revealing it now holds the power to cloak the surroundings in eternal night. It even promises Liam he can summon it any time, though he worries he might not yet know how to call forth an intermediate tier beast. But the Shadow Divine Beast points out that Liam wears the mana storage ring, allowing him to absorb and summon it at will. This insight surprises Liam, who immediately tests the ring, and sure enough, it can contain and summon the upgraded Shadow Divine Beast. With this newfound power, Liam then upgrades his other divine beasts before sealing them into the ring. Now Liam possesses his very own magical artifact capable of summoning intermediate-tier divine beasts. The next day, Liam ventures into the forest as Ron requested. Upon arriving, Ron asks him to summon Little Dion. Liam obliges, and Little Dion carves a path through the magical barrier, revealing dozens of tiny fairy maidens hiding within the woods. When the fairies realize Liam is human, panic spreads, they scatter, like leaves in the wind fearing capture. Liam calms their fears, explaining he means no harm, and that it was Little Dion who summoned him here. Hearing Dion's name, the fairies begin to trust him. The wings of these fairies are rare ingredients for crafting magical items and medicines, which led humans to hunt them nearly to extinction. To protect them, Vedun created the forest barrier, but now that Vedun lives inside Liam, he can no longer maintain the shield and asks Liam to take up the mantle of their guardian. To fulfill this role, Liam decides to seal contracts with all the fairies and asks if they agree. Trusting him because he works for Vedun and eager to strengthen their magic, the fairies consent. Vedun also requests Liam to name each fairy, as naming enhances the strength of human magic. Liam seals the contracts and names the first fairy Dua. But to Liam's shock, as soon as the contract completes, Dua transforms from a fairy into an imp. Vedun finds this evolution fascinating, though not entirely unexpected. Liam, however, is bewildered and can't make sense of what's happening. Vedun explains that simultaneously sealing contracts and naming triggers a powerful resonance, enabling the fairies to evolve. Vedun suggests that Liam should name every divine beast he contracts with to maximize this effect. Seeing the transformation, all other fairies eagerly want to bond with Liam and request names. Once all the fairies have evolved into imps and become Liam's divine beasts, Vina asks what his next move will be. Liam hadn't anticipated this. He was here only because of Dua's request. Now that they are imps, Liam proposes they build their own village. He appoints Gina as their leader, since she was the first to evolve and the only name he remembers. With arrangements settled, the imps begin constructing their new home, while Liam, drained from using so much mana sealing contracts, feels utterly exhausted. Just then, Liam senses a powerful mana source deeper in the forest and decides to investigate. There he discovers golden fruits radiating immense mana energy. Curious, he asks Gina about them. She explains these fruits are created by the fairies condensing ambient mana into what she compares to mana honey. Liam wonders if he can eat one, and Gina doesn't object. Upon tasting the fruit, not only is his mana recovered, but his overall mana capacity increases. Now Liam can cast 19 different spells without uttering a single incantation. The next day, Liam returns to check on the village. Gina greets him, but brings troubling news. Although he told them to build a village, the imps don't know how to build houses. Liam anticipated this and planned to teach them construction skills, but their lesson is cut short by a desperate scream. They discover a fellow imp being captured by bandits who had stumbled into the forest. The bandits intend to sell her for profit. Naturally, Liam won't stand for this. He demands they release Suji immediately, but the bandits ignore him and choose to fight. With lightning reflexes, Liam summons a clone, and together they overwhelm the bandits, rescuing Suji. Yet this incident reveals how perilous the forest truly is. Determined to protect the imps, Liam decides to relocate them to a safer place. He considers using his space pouch, but worries it might not be large enough. However, upon checking, he finds the pouch has expanded significantly since his last visit, likely thanks to the mana fruit he ate earlier. This is a welcome relief. Liam calls all the imps into the pouch so he can transport them safely. Shortly after, he returns to his own land and opens the pouch. The imps are amazed to find themselves in an entirely new, unfamiliar place. Liam explains he brought them to his territory so they no longer fear attacks. The imps are deeply grateful, and even more astonished by Liam's power moving them all with a single spell. Bowing in respect, they plead with Liam to be their king, promising to obey any command, feeling a responsibility to protect them. Liam agrees to become their leader, but requests they not call him king. Politics are too messy for his taste. As their leader, he knows he must find new land for them to thrive. Over the next 4 days, Liam searches for a suitable home for the imps while relentlessly practicing the teleportation spell Dion taught him. Once he masters it, he gathers all the imps in a line. With a flick of his hand, Liam teleports everyone 100 kilometers away to a place called the Sealed Land. Verdon originally sealed this land, but has granted Liam free access. Normally, travelling there would take several days, but thanks to his new teleportation skill, Liam arrives instantly. He announces the Sealed Land as their new home, but still needs to find builders to construct houses. For now, he entrusts this task to little Dion. Liam recounted how he brought the elves to his land, a sanctuary where fear of attack no longer shadowed them. The elves' gratitude was profound, yet what truly stunned them was Liam's power moving them all with a single, graceful spell. Bowing deeply, they pleaded for Liam to become their king, promising unwavering loyalty. Feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, Liam accepted leadership but declined the title of king. Politics, he said, were a tangled web he wished to avoid. As their protector and guide, he vowed to carve out new lands for them to thrive, a beacon of hope in the wilderness. 4 days passed with Liam tirelessly scouting for the perfect home. During this time, he honed the teleportation spell taught by Didon, mastering the art of instant movement. When ready, he gathered the elves in formation, and with a surge of magic, transported them 100 kilometers away to the sealed land of Verdun, a place locked away by ancient magic, but now open to Liam's will. Verdun was a land of promise once sealed, but now a new beginning. Normally, a journey there would take days, but Liam's newfound teleportation made it instantaneous. He declared this would be their new home, though first he needed to find builders to craft their shelters. For now, Didon's little apprentice remained by his side, ready to help. Liam's heart swelled with hope as the elves settled into this untouched land. Yet beneath this calm, a storm brewed, one he knew he must face to protect those who had placed their trust in him. Liam admitted he had never heard of it, but he recalled Verdun mentioning a place called the Sealed Land. Upon hearing this, the princess requested Liam to take her there. He agreed, but in return he asked her to bring along a royal engineer, as he needed their expertise to complete the task ahead. Yet he recalled Dion granting him access to a place known as the Sealed Land. Hearing this, the princess asked Liam to take her there. He agreed, but with a condition: she must bring the royal engineers, for he needed their aid to complete a certain task. However, Liam had no intention of bringing real engineers. Instead, he conjured a clone of an engineer named Golak and teleported both the clone and the princess to the Sealed Land. Upon arrival, the princess was certain they had found the legendary Promised Land. Legends spoke of humanity's salvation lying within this land, and the ring she bore was the key. Passed down through royal bloodlines for generations, the ring only stirred strong reactions when near Liam. The moment he touched it, the earth beneath them rose at his command. Moved by this power, the princess bowed deeply before Liam, pleading for him to build a nation here to save mankind. Liam wasn't keen on unpaid overtime, but the princess promised unwavering loyalty and pledged all her resources to make this vision real. Reluctantly, he agreed. Guided by his instructions, the elf tribe made steady progress in building their village. Meanwhile, Liam continued wielding magic to erase the lingering monsters plaguing the land. After slaying a colossal turtle, Liam sensed a presence behind him. Princess Scarlet stood there, apologizing for staring. She was simply captivated by the aura of the hero she served. Liam was still adjusting to their master-servant dynamic, so he told her not to be so formal. After all, Scarlet's royal blood as the second princess far outshone his own humble status. Yet she acted out of genuine desire. Her family bore dragon blood, and the women were often wed to forge alliances. Serving under dragon god Dion was her choice over ruling as princess. Seeing her devotion, Liam's feeling softened. He instructed her to head 1 kilometer north. There was something there she might like. Following his lead, they found the entrance to ancient ruins hidden in the forest. Inside, a metallic dragon lay dormant in the chamber. As they approached, the beast stirred tension thick in the air. Liam asked Dion what this was. He explained it was one of his creations, a guardian that would surely wipe them out. But if Liam could destroy a specific ancient rune on its forehead, the dragon would be tamed. Seeming simple enough, Liam teleported onto the dragon's head and plunged his holy spear through the rune, disabling its defenses. The dragon responded to Scarlet's dragon blood and vowed loyalty to her. She happily accepted her new guardian. When Liam said he wanted to return to the surface, she chose to stay a while longer, unwilling to part from her majestic protector. Until she fully recovered from the injury caused by his attack, he still couldn't get used to it. When someone as important as her wanted to serve him, Vedon suggested he only needed to become an equal in status to her, that way the awkwardness would vanish. But just hearing that sounded like a tough climb. Right then, Liam caught the scent of drama brewing from the elf village under construction. Instantly, he teleported there only to be horrified by the devastation. The elves told him the culprits were a pack of raging werewolves. No sooner had they mentioned the werewolves than those very creatures appeared demanding the intruders leave the sacred land immediately. Liam realized the werewolves had mistaken them for invaders, so he tried to explain they had permission to be there, but before he could finish, the werewolves charged. Liam had to teleport aside and raise his magic shield. Still, the werewolves were determined to drive his group out of the sacred territory. Just then, he summoned his little dragon Don, proving his umbrella was no ordinary shield. The werewolves immediately realized they'd been tricked and apologized sincerely for destroying the village. The elves told them not to worry, being temporarily homeless was just a small price to pay. After all, the werewolves were just fulfilling their duty since they all served Don. The girls suggested the werewolf tribe become Don's divine beasts. The werewolf leader thought it was a brilliant idea and they sealed the deal. Liam had no reason to refuse. He made the first pact with their leader and named her Grizz. The next day, Liam returned to the village to check progress. With Grizz and the entire werewolf tribe pitching in, construction sped up dramatically. The moment Grizz saw Liam, she leapt up and hugged him tightly. When Liam asked about the repairs, Grizz pointed to a house they were fixing, the one they had destroyed yesterday. She apologized sincerely again for their reckless actions, but Liam reassured her that as long as the werewolves helped rebuild, it was all good. Still, things would move much faster if Liam could use magic to repair. However, none of the spells on his ring related to fixing things. Vedon told him he could create repair magic if it didn't exist yet. Liam wasn't sure he could invent magic on the spot, so Vedon explained all he needed was a clear mental image of each step in the process he wanted to realize. Enlightened Liam decided to experiment. He cast a spell on a piece of wood and asked Grizz to break it. She obeyed, stunned when the wood immediately restored itself to perfect condition. Liam explained this was the effect of the magic he just created. It allowed inanimate objects to maintain a specific state no matter what happened. If he applied this magic to houses, they would stand strong even through 10 storms. Once Liam grasped how to create spells, he began experimenting with different types, eventually inventing an explosive magic rocket. Just as he planned to create more spells, an urgent call interrupted him. Humans had trespassed into this land and were hunting the fairies. Sensing the crisis, Liam rushed to investigate and found the intruders. Standing firm, he warned them this was his territory, and they needed to retreat immediately. The intruders thought Liam was just a crazy spirit and ignored him pressing forward. But Liam fired a warning shot to prove he wasn't joking. Instead of retreating, they decided to take him on. Liam had no choice but to unleash a flurry of attacks, knocking each one away. After dealing with the soldiers, Liam returned to the village where Jenna thanked him for protecting the fairy tribe. These fairies had once lived in the forest but were driven out by soldiers trying to capture them, forcing them to seek refuge here. Liam told them they could stay as long as they liked. He was even willing to make pacts with them, but with so many fairies, naming each of them took up a lot of his time. He began running out of ideas. The next day, Liam had a private discussion with the girls and showed them a helmet. He asked if they recognized it. Scarlet identified the emblem as belonging to Panta, a kingdom neighboring the Promised Land just like Ymil and Quad. This meant the attackers yesterday were likely scouts from Panta. If so, it was only a matter of time before spies from Ymil and Quad appeared too. These 3 kingdoms had once been separated by a valley, but now that John's barrier was gone, they were surely scheming to seize this land. Scarlet believed the only way to stop them was for Liam to establish a nation here. He agreed, and she started listing what was needed: land, people, and power. Liam already had the land. As for population, if his fame spread, people would come on their own. So the only real concern was military strength. Liam might be powerful, but he needed a solid army to defend the land even when he wasn't present. At that moment, Gris volunteered to protect the Promised Land, promising to crush anyone who dared attack. Since the werewolves were battle-hardened, Liam entrusted security to Gris. Scarlet advised Liam to keep building the village while demonstrating his strength by repelling invaders. Soon, surrounding kingdoms would realize that cooperating with Liam was far more beneficial than opposing him. Everyone agreed with the plan. But just a day later, events sped up faster than instant noodles. A man named Leonardo appeared, introducing himself as a noble from Ymil. Sent by the king to meet Liam, he expressed that Ymil didn't want to fight and hoped to form an alliance. If Liam agreed, the king was willing to marry his princess Scarlet to him. Liam felt something was off. He hadn't done anything worthy of such an offer yet. But judging by Scarlet's actions, it seemed Ymil knew this land was connected to Don's dragon deity. Perhaps that was why they wanted to win Liam's favour. Still uncertain, Liam set up telepathic magic on the spot and consulted Scarlet for advice. She recommended accepting the proposal, reasoning that marriage would at least buy them half a year to expand the nation without interference from the neighbouring kingdoms. Sometimes the weight of leadership means making choices that feel too big for us, but in those moments we grow. If you've ever stood where Liam stands now, ask yourself, what would you risk for the future you believe in? And if you've ever felt uncertain about trusting others, maybe this tale is a reminder that alliances aren't just about power. They're about hope, connection, and the courage to build something greater together. Thanks for sharing this journey with me. From a distant land, he heeded her advice and told Leonardo, "I am truly honoured to marry Princess Scarlet. Yet, I asked to delay our wedding by a year to build a nation strong and worthy of the royal lineage." He promised to understand and return to report back to the king once this matter was settled. After that, he decided to visit Princess Scarlet's mansion in the capital city. But the journey was long, so he let Scarlet escort his starship back first. The moment the starship arrived, it instantly teleported Liam back to her side, since he had visited Scarlet's mansion before he could return any time. This was his first visit to the capital, and though curious to explore, he had to maintain a discreet demeanour as he now ruled another nation. Scarlet invited him inside for tea, but just before stepping in, he sensed a powerful energy emanating from the place. He asked if anything related to John was here, and she confirmed there was. She led Liam to the mansion's chapel, where a statue of John stood preserved through generations of her maternal family. John himself had forgotten this statue existed. It had been lost in the mists of millennia. Reborn urged Liam to approach the statue and cast a spell. As Liam did, the statue began to glow with radiant light, channeling energy into Scarlet's body. She looked down to find herself clad in magnificent armour, the legendary lettuce armour. She also felt a massive power surging through her veins. Curious about this newfound strength, Scarlet tried casting one of Liam's sacred spells, the Holy Spear. She succeeded, but instantly collapsed, drained of all her mana. Yet the very fact she could wield Liam's magic was unheard of before. Reborn explained the armour Scarlet wore was a magical armour designed to enhance the wearer's abilities and grant access to some of his sacred spells. But Scarlet's body wasn't yet strong enough to handle the armour's full power. This armour was the golden armour, the mightiest of all armours John ever forged. While she could use lesser armours, sadly all had been lost in ancient wars and were irretrievable. Liam wasn't worried. If Reborn could create armour, then surely he could too. He resolved to forge a new armour, tailored to Scarlet's strength, helping her control the power without exhaustion. Reborn found Liam's enthusiasm refreshing and agreed to assist. The first ingredient needed was high-grade emerald mineral ore. Liam asked Scarlet if she could procure the mineral, and she assured him it was no problem. Without delay, Liam began crafting the armour. After tireless work, he finally completed a suit perfectly suited for Scarlet. Handing it to her, he urged her to try it on immediately to activate its power. First, she needed to bond with it, so Liam instructed her to drip a few drops of blood onto the statue. As she did, her body was once again enveloped in magical armour. This time, Scarlet could wield Reborn's magic without collapsing from fatigue. Reborn was deeply impressed by Liam's skill and the potential unlocked. Because he could easily replicate the armour of Lord Reborn, he told Liam about the strongest armour ever crafted, the Ruined Guardian. This was the very armour John wore in the epic war among gods. He encouraged Liam to test it, confident that Liam could harness its power. Liam and Scarlet teleported back to the village, where he placed a drop of his blood on the statue of Reborn to seal the contract. Instantly, the statue transformed into armour. As Liam donned it, he could cast 37 spells simultaneously. yet wielding such immense power pushed him to his limits. He immediately collapsed, utterly exhausted. Scarlet rushed to check on him, but he reassured her he was fine. Vedon was deeply impressed throughout history. Only 3 people survived wearing this armor. Liam not only survived, but also activated magic no one else had before. If he masters this armor, he could hold power to dominate the entire world. Liam used a magic crystal to recover, but decided to pause training with the Ruined Guardian and stored the armor away. Then he and Scarlet teleported back to the capital before returning to the village to check on things. Everything seemed to flow smoothly until Rain came running with alarming news the giant demons had appeared near the village. These giants could be either peaceful or ferocious. Unfortunately, those near the village were the vicious kind. Though they hadn't attacked, their presence was a grave threat. Moreover, envoys from other kingdoms kept coming to meet Liam, raising the risk of conflict between humans and giants at any moment. To prevent war, the best path was to persuade the giants to join Liam's village. So Liam decided to visit their territory to negotiate. Upon arrival, a group of giant demons blocked his path. Their leader confronted Liam and demanded to know his purpose. Calmly, Liam explained he was building a nation and wanted to invite them to join. But the leader distrusted humans and flatly refused ordering Liam to leave immediately. Before Liam could reply, the giant raised his hand and tried to crush him. Liam dodged desperately, not wanting to hurt the giant, but just one hit could mean death. In his frantic evasion, he accidentally slipped into a pit and got trapped. Now the giants had the perfect chance to strike. The leader swung his massive club straight at Liam. Luckily, Liam summoned the armor just in time, surviving without a scratch, yet wearing it drained a huge amount of his magical energy. The giant was stunned to see a human survive his blow, but didn't hesitate. In his fury, he attacked harder. Before the next strike, Liam pointed toward the other giant standing behind their leader. In a blind rage, the leader accidentally injured his own kind. If Liam hadn't taken the final hit, many giants would have been wounded. Realizing his reckless mistake, the leader calmed down and agreed to hear Liam out. Liam thanked him for his cooperation and gathered all the giants together to explain his vision. He told them about the village he was building, currently home mostly to goblins and werewolves, but sooner or later, more humans would come. Such a future could spark violent conflict with humans, hunting giants to extinction. Liam wanted to prevent this by inviting them to join the village. The leader understood Liam's point, but wanted to see the village firsthand before deciding. Liam agreed and teleported all the giants to the village. Upon arrival, the giants were amazed by the scene. But then Chris spotted the leader, and without hesitation, the two launched into a fierce duel. Chris kicked the giant, sending him crashing to the ground. Liam was baffled and asked what was going on. Calmly, Chris explained they had a long-standing feud. Basically, they hated each other and fought whenever they met. So far, Chris had won 307 matches, and the giant 370. She was disappointed that the giant seemed weaker than before, and asked if he had lost his strength. Liam reminded her she had evolved into a werewolf, so it wasn't the giant's weakness, but her growth. The giant refused to accept this growing angry. Chris proposed a deal. If he wanted to get stronger and match her in one-on-one fights, he should make a contract with Liam. Hearing this, the giant agreed immediately. Liam sealed the contract and named him Guy. Guy evolved from a giant into a Jaja cat. Though slightly smaller, his power increased significantly. Chris wanted a rematch right away, and this time Guy could block her strikes. For them, it was just a friendly fight, but with their strength, a single punch or kick could kill an ordinary person. The other giants watched in awe. Liam then asked if any others wanted to contract with him. All agreed. He had to quickly come up with 50 different names. After sealing the contracts, Liam asked for their help with a small task. He and the giants returned to the canyon to start gathering massive stones. Guy and the other giants worked diligently, while Chris tried to help but was still too weak. As she struggled to lift a huge stone, her legs gave out. Guy lifted the rock off her back and asked if she was okay. She wasn't hurt, but felt embarrassed and ran off. Once they collected enough stones, Liam thanked Guy and the giants for their help. Guy wondered what the stones were for. Liam explained that when he first met the giants, he noticed plenty of metal ore in the canyon. He wanted to try smelting the stones to extract metal. After completing the contract, Liam asked the giant demons for a small favor. He and the group of giant demons headed back to the canyon, where they began collecting massive boulders. The giants worked tirelessly, while Chris also tried to lend a hand. However, compared to the giants, she was still too weak. As she struggled to lift a large boulder, her legs gave way and she collapsed. A giant lifted the boulder off her back and asked if she was okay. Although she wasn't hurt, her pride took a hit, causing her to run away in embarrassment. After gathering enough stones, Liam thanked the giants for their help. The giant was curious about what they were collecting the stones for. Liam explained that when he first encountered the giants, he noticed an abundance of metal ores in the canyon. He wanted to try melting the stones to extract the metals. He summoned the fire spirit salamander and used it to create a high-temperature furnace. As the stones began to melt, Liam was able to extract a significant amount of iron, some copper, and a very small amount of myrin. He felt disappointed, as he had hoped for a larger yield of myrin, which was a crucial material for crafting magical armor. Liam asked John if it was essential to use myrin for the armor. John replied that myrin was vital since no other metal was durable enough to withstand the pressure the armor would face. Despite this, Liam still lacked enough myrin. However, he had an abundance of iron, so he decided to experiment with it. Liam melted the iron, and with the help of the giants, he created a mold for the armor. He poured the molten metal into the mold, channeling Vedon's mana into it and naming it to enhance its magical power. He named the armor Apollo after the sun god, as its shape resembled the sun itself. Liam believed that if the name and form of the armor were aligned, its effectiveness would increase. It seemed he was right, for the Apollo armor was successfully forged. He named this suit of armor Apollo after the sun god. When the armor was removed from the mold, its shape resembled the sun itself. Liam believed that if the name and form of the armor matched, its power would surge, and it seemed he was right because Apollo was successfully forged. But that very night, Liam faced a new problem. Though he had succeeded in creating iron armor, each suit needed its own unique name to activate its power. Liam was running out of ideas. After a night of racking his brain, he managed to come up with names for 15 suits. He divided the armors evenly among the 3 tribes: elves, werewolves, and giants. The next morning, everyone gathered outside to organize simulated battles to test the armor's strength. Both Guy and Gris were fired up. They were stronger now than ever before. Just then, a band of thieves stumbled into the forest. The moment they spotted the elves, they quickly hatched a plan to kidnap and sell them for profit. But it seemed the saying, "big head, small brain," was true, as they threatened the elves right in front of the werewolves and giants. The leader boldly declared he would capture the elves, assuming the others would cooperate, or else he'd harm them. Liam was about to intervene, but Rena told him to let them handle it themselves. Then she summoned the weakest elf in the village, Mina, and commanded her to defeat the thieves. Normally, Mina wouldn't even kill a fly, but thanks to the armor Liam had made, she could take down all the bandits in the blink of an eye. Liam was stunned by the power the armor granted Mina. He realized that if he could craft enough armor for all the elves, they'd be able to protect themselves from any threat in the future. But that meant Liam had to come up with even more names for the armors. While he was still struggling with that, the bandit leader suddenly sneaked up behind Liam. He took Liam hostage and threatened everyone to obey, or else Liam would die. Yet no one was worried. They all knew the bandits couldn't touch Liam. Just a second later, Liam unleashed a strike straight to the bandit leader's chin, knocking him out cold on the spot. Seeing their leader fall so easily, the remaining thieves finally realized they stood no chance against Liam. So they scrambled tails between their legs, fleeing the scene. That night, Liam reached into his dimensional pocket for an important task. He summoned a group of water spirits and told them he had gathered a lot of seawater. He wanted them to separate the salt so the villagers could have fresh water to use. The situation was dire, and Liam was determined to take every possible measure to prevent disaster. Therefore, he ordered the evacuation of all nearby villages to avoid a vampire attack. Unfortunately, no village heeded his warning, as vampires had never posed a real threat before. Before long, a horde of vampires attacked one of the villages. Although the villagers fought valiantly, they were ultimately overwhelmed and the entire village was turned into vampires. It didn't stop there. As a scout was monitoring the battle, he discovered a vampire that was entirely different from the rest. All the other vampires knelt before it, which performed some sort of ritual, and resurrected all the vampires slain in the battle. Liam quickly realized that the entity the scout had encountered was none other than Dracula. But if Dracula could resurrect his minions endlessly, the only way to end this threat was to eliminate Dracula at its source. However, given the sheer scale of the vampire army, approaching Dracula seemed impossible. Fortunately, Liam devised a perfect plan to defeat him. He enlisted the help of the clan leaders, as well as Asuna and Jodie. The 5-member group confronted 7 vampires in the Valley of Thorns. As the vampire horde charged at them, they quickly donned the special armor crafted by Liam and began their assault, scattering vampire corpses everywhere. Once Liam's team stirred the waters enough, Guy suggested they retreat as they had drawn enough attention from Dracula. Sure enough, before long, he appeared before them, but just as he prepared to resurrect his vampire army, Liam sprang forward and teleported him away to a different location. Liam had created armor infused with the spirit of an elf. Encouraged by this breakthrough, he repeated the process with fire and wind, elves gifting 3 special armors to Jenna, Chris, and Guy. Their strength surged dramatically, and each eagerly embraced their newfound powers, ready to serve Liam's cause. Though all this was done in defense of his kingdom, Liam now wielded a military might capable of conquering neighboring nations if he so desired. But his ambitions did not stop there. Magic was the single beacon guiding him ever forward. Once his kingdom stabilized, Liam resolved to return home after a long absence. Upon arrival at the guild, Jodie and Asuna confronted him, frustrated that he'd gone silent for an entire week. Apologizing, Liam confessed he'd been too wrapped up in his tasks to check in. Asuna reassured him not to worry, nothing catastrophic had happened. But the real issue was their desire to have him return a sum of money. Initially puzzled by their mention of Mochi, Liam recalled Jodie reminding him that long ago they had asked him to safeguard funds secretly entrusted by Princess Scarlet. Liam sat down with Jodie and Asuna to discuss this treasure trove, a massive pouch filled with gold. The 2 women hesitated, wary of holding so much cash, especially as Liam's secret needed to stay sealed. Though he could command their silence, Liam refused to force their hands, so he simply handed over the money. Eventually, they accepted the gold, but insisted it be kept safe at Liam's place until needed. Now, eager to reclaim it, they came to retrieve their share. Liam agreed, but couldn't help his curiosity about their plans for such a fortune. They remained tight-lipped, but soon led him to a magic tome shop, gifting him a spellbook. Flipping through the pages, Liam realized this was a type of magic he had never encountered before. Grateful for their thoughtfulness, he thanked Asuna and Jodie. The trio returned to the guild, exchanging updates and discovering Liam's kingdom had flourished during his absence. His prolonged disappearance now explained, Liam posed a question: would they join his kingdom or stay in town to continue hunting monsters? The answer was clear. Both eagerly chose to follow Liam. His heart swelled with joy hearing that. Before returning home, Liam wanted to test the spellbook they'd gifted him. He practiced casting the dustbox spell repeatedly, mastering it quickly. Jodie and Asuna watched in amazement at how swiftly he wielded this new magic, though they still wondered about its true utility. Liam explained Dustbox was like an item box capable of storing objects, but with a twist, he placed a piece of fish inside for a few minutes, and when retrieved, it was completely rotten. Asuna and Jodie gasped, questioning if such a spell had any practical use. Honestly, Liam couldn't fathom the benefit of a magic that accelerated decay. Just then, inspiration struck as he spotted a waitress carrying fresh grape juice. Racing off, he returned an hour later with a bottle of freshly squeezed grapes. He hypothesized that adding yeast to grape juice and storing it in the dust box might trigger fermentation, producing alcohol swiftly. They tested this by placing grape juice inside for 5 minutes. When retrieved, it had transformed into exquisite wine. The ability to produce wine in mere minutes was astounding. But this magic wasn't limited to wine. Anything requiring fermentation could now be mass-produced rapidly. Suddenly, Dustbox had transformed from a curious spell into an invaluable tool. Later, Liam brought Jodie and Asuna to his home. Unveiling 10 different wines, each bottle of grape juice had spent varying hours inside the Dustbox from 1 to 10. Jodie eagerly volunteered to test each one, savouring them sequentially. Liam, once a notorious drinker in his past life, felt a twinge of envy watching Jodie enjoy the wines he'd crafted. After tasting all 10, she marvelled that the one aged for a single hour tasted like a year-old vintage, while the 10-hour bottle rivaled a decade of aging. This meant that each hour in the dust box was equivalent to 1 year of fermentation. Liam had unlocked the secret to optimizing his production process. Asuna teased envious that only Jodie got to enjoy the fruits of this magical labor, though Jodie was actually 40 years old, while Liam and Asuna were still too young to drink. With experiments complete, Liam led the two women to his kingdom, introducing them warmly to the villagers. Both were quickly embraced by the community celebrated for joining the realm. The villagers held a grand feast honouring Jodie and Asuna, showcasing dishes from various races. Chris grilled spiked lamb, Chu prepared roasted beef, and Diana cooked a fragrant mushroom stew. Asuna couldn't resist and eagerly dug in. Soon, the entire gathering joined in the lively celebration, sharing laughter and stories over the sumptuous meal. The next morning, Liam led everyone to a nearby forest to pick fruit for crafting more unique wines. Finding plentiful starfruits, Chu and Grizz playfully competed to gather more, only to be scolded by Raina, who warned that over-harvesting now would leave nothing for next year. Just then, Liam heard a distant scream echoing from the other side of the woods. He dashed toward the source, shocked to find a man biting a demon dog. Without hesitation, Liam fired a fire rocket, knocking the attacker away. Before he could interrogate, the man fled wildly into the thorny forest. Rushing to check on the wounded demon dog, Liam noticed something strange. Gon began acting erratically, growing aggressive and lunging as if to bite the thorn itself. The man struggled to restrain the beast. Gon's baffling behaviour puzzled everyone, but Liam suspected a sinister status effect at play. If his hunch was right, this was no ordinary attack. It was the beginning of a dark curse. So, all of Liam's holy seals could solve the problem. Liam cast a spell to erase every harmful effect on Gon, and luckily Gon immediately returned to normal before collapsing. Yet, the root cause remained a mystery. Jodie suddenly recalled seeing similar symptoms before, so she turned to Liam and said, Gon might be infected by vampires. Vampires can turn those they bite into their thralls, and usually there's no cure once bitten. But Liam healed Gon almost instantly, truly a miracle. However, vampires usually disintegrate in sunlight, yet the man was perfectly fine. Could it mean Dracula himself was behind this? Dracula is a rare vampire mutant, appearing only once every few centuries. Under his command, other vampires grow stronger and can survive daylight. If Dracula is involved, they face a threat darker than the night itself. Liam decides to send scouts to track Dracula's trail. When they return, they bring grave news. They found a horde of vampires 10 kilometers north, over 10,000 strong and advancing fast. The village is hopelessly outnumbered, and fear grips its people. Such a massive swarm means every resident in this land has been turned into vampires, including the orcs, goblins, and other tribes. All roam freely in daylight, proving Dracula's overwhelming power. Normally, vampires keep to the shadows, living quietly, but under Dracula's rule, they've become savage and ruthless. Baldoy Guy insists they must stop this before disaster strikes. Yet Jodie and Asuna argue a direct confrontation with the vampire horde is too risky, even their strength can't guarantee safety. One bite, and a warrior joins the enemy. Liam agrees the threat is colossal, but vows to do everything to prevent catastrophe. He orders all nearby villages to evacuate, aiming to avoid vampire attacks. Unfortunately, no one heeds their warnings. Vampires have never been seen as a real danger. Soon, the vampire swarm assaults an orc village. Though the orcs fight valiantly, they're overwhelmed. The entire village succumbs, transformed into vampires. But it doesn't end there. While scouts monitor the battle, they spot a vampire unlike any other. All others kneel before him. This vampire performs a ritual resurrecting every fallen vampire from the fight. Liam instantly realizes that being is Dracula. Though the throne was massive, Liam's resolve was unwavering. He would stop this disaster at all costs. He ordered the evacuation of all nearby villages, desperate to shield them from the looming vampire horde. But his warnings fell on deaf ears. The villagers dismissed the threat, for vampires had never posed a true menace before. Soon, the vampires struck a village of orcs. Though the orcs fought valiantly, they were overwhelmed. The entire village was transformed into vampires, a chilling victory that sent a dark shadow over the land. Watching from afar, a scout witnessed the grim battle unfold, sensing the nightmare had only just begun. This vampire was unlike any other. The entire legion knelt before him. Then, With a dark ritual, he breathed life back into every vampire fallen in battle. Liam instantly realized the scout's vision was none other than Dracula himself. But if Dracula could revive his minions endlessly, the only way to end this nightmare was to destroy Dracula at his core. Yet with the massive vampire army guarding him, reaching Dracula seemed impossible. Thankfully, Liam conjured a flawless plan to defeat him. He enlisted the clan leaders alongside Asuna and Jodie. The 5 of them confronted 7 vampires deep in the valley. As the horde charged, they donned special armor crafted by Liam and unleashed a sweeping assault, piling vampire corpses everywhere. After Liam's team stirred chaos, Guy suggested retreating enough to bait Dracula's attention. Sure enough, he soon appeared before them. Just as he prepared to resurrect his army, Liam lunged forward and warped Dracula away to a distant place. Dracula was both baffled and impressed. How could Liam move him without permission? He demanded to know what he did. Liam explained he warped them both 100 kilometers apart, severing Dracula's link to his vampire horde forever. Liam believed defeating Dracula would end this nightmare. Yet before the battle ignited, he urged the vampire to stop turning others into monsters, so all races might live in peace. Dracula scoffed, rejecting the plea, his ambitions dark and unyielding. Determined to see his twisted vision through, Dracula refused to relent until every lesser species bowed as his slaves. Liam had no choice but to fight. He unleashed a barrage of rockets, yet the vampire emerged unscathed. Then, with eerie calm, Dracula dissolved his body, only to reappear right behind Liam. But quick as a flash, Liam teleported away before the strike landed. He pressed forward, with a relentless assault of holy strikes, piercing Dracula's form like Swiss cheese, only for the Dark Lord to dissolve and regenerate, as if untouched. Seizing a moment, Dracula lured Liam into teleporting, then lunged to seize him. Just as fangs neared his neck, Liam swapped places with a clone and vanished, escaping death by a hair's breadth. In this crucible, Liam realized he could use the Divine Guardian armor, a skill that would amplify his strength but drain all his mana. He hesitated, reserving the power only for a sure victory. He tested every spell in his arsenal, but none touched Dracula. The vampire sneered, declaring all Liam's efforts futile. "I am immortal," he proclaimed, beyond the world's rules, untouchable. Dracula's body was merely a vessel to absorb life force. As long as this world existed, he was invincible. Liam mulled over this revelation, realizing the key lay in the fact Dracula wasn't truly alive. The law forbidding imprisoning living beings in the dustbox didn't apply. The moment Dracula grabbed him, Liam sealed him inside the dustbox. Now, all that remained was to close it and wait for the vampire's life force to drain. He stood vigil for 10 hours, equivalent to 10 years for Dracula, until the Dark Lord either starved or slipped into hibernation. At last, Liam had triumphed over Dracula. Having completed his mission, he teleported back to the canyon to check on his comrades. Upon arrival, Asuna and Jodie greeted him with warm relief. Joy sparkling in their eyes, they guessed Liam had defeated the vampire. They hoped that with Dracula gone, the victims turned into vampires would return to their true selves. But the unexpected happened. The victims didn't revert. Instead, they ignited and disintegrated. Liam quickly realized their bodies were sustained by Dracula's magic, and now sealed away, they could not survive, refusing to let innocent lives be lost. Liam racked his brain for a solution. Then it struck him he remembered saving Gon with the All-Holy spell. He began chanting the All-Holy incantation, repeatedly channeling its purifying power. He managed to rescue some individuals, but many still faded away. His magic only worked one by one, impossible to save everyone like that. Then inspiration hit, donning the Divine Guardian armor to amplify his strength. He cast the All-Holy spell across the entire canyon. The holy light bathed the valley, and as it dimmed, every vampire returned to their original form. Yet exhaustion claimed Liam. His mana drained to nothing, and he collapsed. An hour later, he stirred. Greeted by relieved faces, everyone was safe. He immediately inquired about the condition of those once cursed, and thankfully, all had fully recovered. Asuna and Jodie, curious, asked about the spell he used. It was unlike anything they'd ever witnessed. Before explaining, Liam reassured them. Not all vampires were victims of Dracula's curse. Some were ancient vampires who had existed long before this catastrophe. These true vampires were brought before Liam, and their leader bowed deeply, apologizing for all the chaos they'd caused. The vampire chief took full responsibility for the disaster and begged for mercy for his followers. Liam calmed their fears, declaring no punishment would come. The only one accountable was Dracula himself. Instead of retribution, Liam offered them a choice to join his village and gain the rare ability to walk under sunlight. After Dracula's defeat, ordinary vampires had lost their sun resistance, meaning by dawn they'd either burn or retreat into shadows. Initially hesitant, the vampires feared becoming anyone's subordinate, especially after Dracula's tyranny. But Liam assured them he wasn't a tyrant and laid down 2 simple rules: obey his guidance and never hold a martial arts tournament. Finding his terms fair, they agreed. Their leader signed the pact first, and Liam named him Alcat. Days later, Liam returned to where Dracula was sealed in the real world. Only mere days had passed outside, but centuries inside the dust box. With no life force to absorb, Dracula's form slowly faded from reality. When the Dark Lord vanished completely, Liam released the dust box, finally at peace to move on. Meanwhile, a noble observing the battle through a crystal orb couldn't fathom a child defeating Dracula. This complicated his plans. He had intended to use Dracula as a pretext to send troops into the sanctuary. Now, a new threat loomed Liam, a force strong enough to fell Dracula. Though the footage cut before the battle's end, the noble saw enough to know Liam's power was extraordinary. Disbelieving that a mere human could wield such strength, he resolved to keep watching before making a move. Heroes like Liam were the turning point of eras. But the burning question remained: would Liam become the hero the village needed, or the Dark Lord they feared? After settling the dust, Liam was utterly exhausted. But that's a tale for another chapter. For now, let's breathe with him standing on the edge between light and shadow, where every choice echoes through eternity. Facing down Dracula and forging contracts with 10,000 beings was already a monumental feat, but naming each one, that was a puzzle far tougher. Liam decided to hit pause on that task. After all, coming up with 10,000 names on the spot was a storm of creativity he wasn't ready to weather. Just then, 2 salamanders he had named came rushing to him. One of them carried a gift, a statue shaped like a salamander. Liam's heart swelled with gratitude for this thoughtful present. He thanked the salamanders warmly and led them along on his daily patrol. What started as a humble village soon blossomed into a thriving city built on the united efforts of every race living there. Among them, the dwarves and elves brought the most experience in construction, so Liam entrusted Jenna with overseeing the city's development. Meanwhile, Guy and the giant demons took charge of patrolling the Promised Land, guarding against looming threats. The concrete wolves were tasked with hunting, providing food for the growing population. Each soul played their part, pouring their effort into keeping the city's pulse steady and strong. Just then, Guy approached Liam with urgent news. A group of humans had appeared in the forest, calling themselves merchants from Quad, seeking an audience with the ruler of this land. Liam considered that meeting these merchants might be wise, but he firmly declared he was no king. Guy, however, was puzzled. After all, Liam commanded over 10,000 powerful beings and ruled the vast city. If not him, then who? Guy turned to the others, who silently agreed Liam was indeed their king. With consensus reached, Rayon, the land's original master, officially proclaimed Liam as the king of this nation. Soon after, Liam teleported to Scarlet's home to check on her. As he arrived, she sat calmly inside as if she had foreseen his visit. After greetings, he asked if she had uncovered any plans from the Yaml Kingdom. Unfortunately, Scarlet admitted she found no concrete details, though she sensed the Yaml officials were hiding something. Perhaps the reason they refused to leave the Promised Land, no matter how much Liam provoked them. Clearly they were seeking something here, but what? Liam then asked Dion if he knew anything, but the man refused to answer. Determined to investigate on his own, Liam inquired if Scarlet wished to return to her city. She chose to stay and continue gathering intelligence for him. Liam agreed, promising he'd return to the village soon, but would definitely come visit her again. When Liam returned to the Promised Land, he immediately summoned Dion, pressing him to reveal the truth. He sensed Dion was hiding something. Impressed that Liam saw through him, Dion finally spoke. He asked if Liam remembered where he found the Divine Guard armor, and urged him to ponder why it was placed there in the first place. Liam agreed to continue gathering information for him. He stated he would return to the village right away, but promised to visit her again soon. When Liam returned to the Promised Land, he immediately asked Vedon to clarify the truth, as he knew the old man was hiding something. Vedon was quite impressed that Liam could perceive this, so he decided to reveal everything. He asked Liam if he remembered where he had found the Guardian armor, and urged him to think about why he had placed the Guardian there in the first place. As Liam stepped down, a powerful sensation washed over him, a feeling both familiar and profound. It was as if the very soul of the place was whispering secrets only he could hear. The journey ahead promised revelations that would shake the foundations of this world and his destiny within it. He still couldn't recognize what was special about this place. Ridon urged him to try filling the room with his magic. He complied, and after a moment, a hidden chamber within the secret room emerged, doubling the astonishment. As he stepped inside, an immediate sense of belonging washed over him. It felt exactly like when he touched his magical ring. He asked Ridon, who explained that dragons like him have a habit of collecting fascinating things throughout their lives. This room was like a magical library brimming with ancient spells and forbidden arts. Liam's interest piqued at the mention of ancient magic, prompting him to inquire about how to use it. Redden said the room itself contained magic, and based on Liam's manner, he would gradually unlock spells. He encouraged Liam to try learning an ancient spell right then and there. Liam began absorbing knowledge from the walls, but the moment he tried to activate a spell, countless bubbles suddenly appeared before him. Vedon explained this was the room's defense mechanism, and Liam had to burst all these bubbles to pass the test. Otherwise, every time he tried magic, the bubbles would reappear. The only way to clear the test was to keep popping bubbles until the required number was reached. Vedon told Liam to persevere even if it took weeks. But Liam found a much faster method. He created a clone of himself, and together they launched a barrage of fireballs, shattering bubbles non-stop. After just an hour, he completed the challenge and unlocked the ancient spell. Mastering this magic, he decided to test it right away. He commanded his clone to create an item box, then dropped a huge boulder on himself. Just as the rock was about to crush him, Liam activated the ancient spell he had just learned to form an unstoppable shield. When the boulder crashed against the shield, both shattered. This magical shield could block physical damage, a truly formidable spell, but with limits. It couldn't block any magical attacks, and if struck by 2 physical attacks at once, the shield only blocked one, leaving the other to pierce through. However, Liam could activate the shield repeatedly, bringing him close to invincibility against physical strikes. Also, in Vedon's library was another spell called the Ultimate Shield, but it was locked on the 2nd floor, meaning Liam needed to strengthen his mana to break that seal and learn it. Yet after pondering, Liam realized he didn't need Vedon's library. He began experimenting by shifting the Ultimate Shield's focus from physical to magical attacks. Then, he mentally simulated tests, adjusting and optimizing the spell, until in a short time he successfully recreated the Ultimate Shield purely from intuition. Vedon was stunned since founding this library centuries ago. No one had ever broken the first seal to enter. But Liam not only did that, he created an ancient spell just by instinct. He then tested the Ultimate Shield by ordering his clone to fire countless magic missiles at him. The result? Every magical attack was nullified, not even a fingernail was scratched. Liam was deeply satisfied with this outcome. Now only one last thing remained. Liam entered a dark space and summoned a shadow spirit cloaking the area in ink-black darkness. Vedon was utterly baffled and asked what Liam was doing. Liam explained he wanted to train his ability to sense mana so he could instantly distinguish between physical and magical attacks. That way, he'd always know when to activate the Unstoppable Shield and when to activate the Ultimate Shield. Indeed, all magical attacks were nullified, even his fingernail remained intact. He felt immense satisfaction with the result. Now there was just one last thing to do. Liam stepped into the darkness and summoned the dark spirit engulfing the area in an inky blackness. Redon was baffled and asked what Liam was doing. Liam explained that he wanted to train his ability to sense mana so he could immediately distinguish between physical attacks and magical ones. This way he would always know when to activate his Ultimate Shield and when to deploy his Ultimate Magic Shield. Redon wondered why he was going through all this trouble when he could easily activate both shields simultaneously. Liam just smiled and said that wouldn't be effective. More importantly, he loved magic too much to accept anything less than mastery. And that